Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me? Bismillah wa salatu wassalam wa rasulullah. Wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, and may peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and haters, welcome back to the Feachaz. Today we have a different type of episode today because it's Easter weekend. And actually, I've been thinking about my family, right, quite a bit because it's the holidays. So I have to work through the holidays, anyways. But and I was like, you know what? Let me do something for those of us who have Christian families, and they want to basically bring up the conversation because sometimes it get awkward. So if you have somebody who do all the dirty work for you, it makes it easier, right? So I'm willing to do the dirty work. So like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And today's topic about Easter weekend was Jesus crucified. And why I chose this topic, I'm going to tell you a story about when I first became Muslim. Okay, so when I first became Muslim, I mentioned before, like back in those days, there really wasn't much information about Islam. Okay, so I didn't get my first Quran until sometime after I actually became Muslim, like maybe a year or two, something like that. It was like a long time after I became Muslim. I was living in Brampton at the time. So Brampton is like a city bordering close to Toronto. Okay. And there were no mosques in all that region at all. Okay. Like nothing. There were no mosques. Wasn't a large Muslim population. The closest mosque to me was a mosque called Tariq Mosque in Toronto. Okay. So I didn't have a driver's license because I'm young. I was just like, 15 when I became Muslim. And there were certain things in my journey in Islam that had a very profound effect on me. And the first time I went into a mosque was one of those things. Okay, so the first time I went into a mosque, it was Tariq Mosque. That's the first mosque I ever went to, right, in Toronto. Yeah, I was with a brother, Abdul Shahid. You might know him as Abu Shahada, right? He's from Dawa Dynamics. So for those of you who know his channel, he was like my older brother, right? So there's like a group of us, like a small group of us, a bunch of converts from Brampton, right? And Abdul Shahid was kind of like the leader, you could say, right? He's the older brother. He has the car, right? Right. And he's the one who's taking us around. So the first time I went to a mosque was because of this brother, right? And, I was the youngest in the group. I was like, 15 years old. I was very young, right? So anyways, a group of us converts, we go from Brampton. We went to J.E. Turner in Brampton, a high school there. He was the oldest, I was the youngest. And when I got there, I was in total awe because it really wasn't what I was expecting, Like I was thinking in my head, because I never been in a mosque before. So I was expecting in my head, I was thinking in my head, okay, well, where are the pews? All right? Because I'm so used to going to a church. Where are the pictures? No pictures, no pews. And I'm a new convert, and I really didn't know anything about Islam at all. And the brotherhood was so like deep, you know what I mean? It was thick. The brotherhood was very, very thick. And it was around this time as well I got my first Quran. I can't remember before or after I went to a mosque, but from a sister that was in our high school, right there in Brampton. She gave me my first Quran. Okay, so anyways, from time to time I would read the Quran. Right, it was this thick Yusuf Ali Quran. Okay, a very, very thick Yusuf Ali Quran. Okay, and what stuck out to me was how different the Quran was compared to any other book I've actually read, because even when I was reading it, and up until this day, when you read it, I'm thinking like, what kind of book is this, right? Because I was used to stories like in the Bible, like you want to see something like in the beginning, and it came to pass, and stories and these type of things and whatnot. But the Quran is not like that at all. And up until this day, I'm in awe of the Quran because when you read it, you're forced to pay attention because the style, it's difficult to describe. If you read the Quran, you know what I'm talking about, right? Mind you, this is in English, okay? So up until this day, I haven't read anything remotely close to it, including Hadith, right? And when you read it, it's like you wonder how who could have wrote this, right? Even in the English translation. So imagine the Arabic, you know. So with the rhyme and the recitation rules and everything like that, you know what I mean? So imagine how profound it is in Arabic compared to the English, right? It's beyond a high octane, especially if you understand the Arabic. Like, so once you start learning the Arabic, it takes a different level, right? And you understand the circumstances, as particularly when you understand the Arabic, and you understand the circumstances in which the ayahs were revealed, where tafsir comes in, right? So what does all this have to do with Jesus and crucifixion? I'm getting to it, okay? Just let me talk for a little bit, okay? Let me talk for a little bit, all right? I'm getting to it, all right? All right? Y'all gonna hear, all right? So anyways, there were a couple of verses in the Quran that stunned me, or it caught me off guard, because from a Christian background, when you come from a big Christian background, like anything, right? You got to understand when we're from a different belief system, or any belief system, really, you get programmed. Okay, we all get programmed. We all get manipulated. You understand? This happens to everybody. When you're young, you don't know you're being programmed. You just are, right? Right. So, yeah, this is with everyone. It doesn't make a difference what religion you are. You're being programmed to believe certain things, right? And you're programmed. Well, you will always be programmed until you're convinced, either of what you believe is the truth or what you believe is falsehood. That's just how it works. You understand? You get programmed until you are actually convinced. So programming always comes before convincing. Okay, never forget that. You're going to be programmed before you're convinced. Okay, so for example, for me, one of the things that was heavy for me finding out was that devils, okay, shayateen, were a completely different creation from the angels. Okay, I didn't know that there were a thing called jinn. Okay, I didn't know anything about jinn, right? And I'm Muslim, right? So I just became Muslim. I didn't understand what a jinn was, right? So, and I had believed, even as a Muslim, because you come from that you have that baggage, right? This is what you're being taught to believe, that devils were fallen angels. Even after becoming Muslim, I believed that, right? And I found out, the way that I found out was very shocking to me, right? Because we were in Brampton, and a new mosque has popped up in Brampton, brand new, right? It was what's that street? Torbram, I believe. At that time, it was just a house, right? Now it's a mosque, but at that time, it's just like a house, right? And it was bought by Jamaat Tabligh and stuff like that. So we were in that mosque as me, the Shaheed, some other brothers from Brampton, Abu Bakr. Can't remember who else. I think Alfaz was there too, right? So we're doing like mock khutbahs, okay? I must have been like 16 or 17 or something like that at the time. I was young. I was still in high school. Anyways, right? So we're doing mock khutbahs, and then it was my turn. And I said something about the devil being a fallen angel. And brother, what you talking about? Devils are not fallen. I was like, what? So it was a shock for me. It was a shock factor, okay? It was a shock factor because I never heard this before, right? Another thing that was shocking for me was this ayah in the Quran, وَقَوْلِهِمْ إِنَّ قَتَلُوا الْمَسِيحَ Isa ibn Maryam or Rasula, right? So they say that verily we qatalna Masih Isa ibn Maryam, we killed Isa the Masih, right? The messenger, or the Messiah, Isa ibn Maryam, Rasulullah, okay? The messenger of Allah. Right, so verily they said we killed Jesus, the son of Mary, the messenger of Allah. Allah is talking about the Jews here, right? Uma qataluhu, and they did not kill him. Right, this is wama salabuhu, nor did they crucify him. Okay, so for me, when I read this, I was like, what? Right? I was shocked, but wait, there's more. Walakin shubbihu lahum, right? But it was made to look like that to them. Okay? So إن الذين إن الذين اختلاف إن الذين اختلفوا, right? So verily they are differing. فيه لفي شك minhu. Okay, so they are differing, right? And they have doubt or conjecture about this issue. They have doubt or conjecture about this issue. ما لهم به من علم من علم إلا اتباع ظن, right? So for them, they have no knowledge and except that they are like in dhan, or they're in like suspicion, right? Where's the translation? I'm trying to find translation here. 1 second. All right, 1 second here. So indeed, those are different over it. They're in doubt about it. They are in doubt about this crucifixion. وما قتله وما قتله يقينا, all right? So, and he was not killed. They did not kill him, right? For sure, yaqina, they like 100%. They didn't kill him, right? So, I want you to understand something, right? When reading this stuff as a Muslim, okay, you read it like, especially if you have an Islamic background, but you're just reading ayat of Quran, right? You're just reading something that Allah revealed. But when you have a Christian background, stuff like this is shocking, right? Why? Because conditioning, as we mentioned before, you're being conditioned and you're being brainwashed to believe something completely opposite to this. You understand? So now Allah is saying that, they say that they killed him, right? The Jesus, the son of Mary, right? They're saying that, but they didn't kill him, nor did they crucify him. They didn't kill him, nor did they crucify him, both. And when you believe your entire life that not only Jesus was killed, but he was crucified, and then you hear something like this, it's going to be a shock factor. You understand? You get me, right? So I thought I was like reading all this by mistake, maybe there's a mistake in translation or something, but I'm a Muslim, but I'm a new Muslim, right? At that time, right? I was a new Muslim, right? So I still had this baggage from Christianity, which is totally natural as a new Muslim. So you become Muslim, it doesn't mean that you're not going to carry the mistakes of your former belief into Islam. Of course, you're going to do this. This is something it's a part of your development. You're going to have these mistakes, and then they're going to be clarified with more knowledge that you get, right? So this happened to me, right? So at any rate, I decided to do something actually which is not common with people with Christian backgrounds, and I decided to look at the Bible to critically and not analyze the statement. That's what I decided to do, okay? This was before Ahmed Didat. I want to be very clear, okay? This was before Ahmed Didat. Y'all hearing me? Before I even knew who Ahmed Didat was. This was before him. So now we built up this story. Now we got to get into the nitty gritty. Okay? Let's get into it. Okay? Anyways. So now, being a new Muslim, I didn't know how to internalize this, but after I started seeing Ahmed Didat videos and they became popular, then it all kind of made sense to me. But what I did, right, is I decided to look into the Bible myself, right, after reading this verse. So I had this Roman Catholic version of the Bible that I got from school, because I used to go to Roman Catholic school before I went to high school, right? And they gave us all Bibles, right? So I had this kind of smallish, goldish color, goldish and black Bible, and it got old over the years, right? Because they gave it to us really young, right? And then my mom, she had this Bible, is a King James version, red letter Bible, thick, thick Bible with like the gold. You know, they have to have the gold trim on the pages, like around the book, right? It's completely sound. It was one of those, right? It's a very nice, nice. Uh, they put a lot of work into that, and leather cover and everything like that. I still have it here somewhere, right? But anyways, all right. So for whatever reason, I can't remember, but I decided to go into my mom's Bible, and I discovered something just by fluke. Okay, because mind you, her Bible is different from my Bible. It's a different version. I didn't know anything about versions of the Bible yet. I'm still young, right? So, but I will never forget because her Bible was bigger than mine physically, like it was way bigger. But mine had more books, and I was looking for something. I was like, why isn't it in this Bible, right? Why isn't it in my mom's Bible, right? I'm seeing more books in my Bible than in my mom's Bible. I didn't know anything about Apocrypha or anything like that, right? So just in my head, I was like, well, that's strange, right? So as I kept reading, I go to the Gospel of Mark, right? And actually, let me read it for you, right? I'm gonna read it. Let me just pull it up here. 1 second. Jazakallah khair. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. Jazakallah khair, bro. Anyways, let me just get this thing up for you one time. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Okay. So I read this. Okay. And this is in Mark 16. Okay. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, Islam bought pieces. Oh, anyways, let's go right down to the end. This is the last. Okay. But he said to them, do not be alarmed. You're looking at Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified and has been raised. He is not here. Look at the place they laid him. Right? He's talking about the angel that moved the rock from the tomb. This is in Mark 16. Okay. Go tell the disciples, Peter, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him, and as he told you. So they went and fled from the tomb for terror and amazement. They had seized them. Okay, so they're scared, right? Because they according to this particular gospel, they're seeing an angel. Okay, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. And what happened? That's it. That's the end of the gospel. That's the legit end of the gospel. And I read that, right? That's the complete end of the gospel, right? Okay, finish. End of story. Okay. Anyways, what happened was I can't remember if I went to my mom's or my particular Bible, but then it has some other stuff, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm having them side by side, and it says, now, when he rose early on the next day, this is after, okay? This is when he rose early on the next day, he appeared to Mary Magdalene, from whom he had cast out 7 demons. And she went out and told those who had been with him as they mourned and wept, and they heard that he was alive and he had seen her, and they would believe in it all the way to the end. Now, I'm going to show you that this is not cap, okay? 1 second. I'm going to show you this. Because many of y'all, you don't have the Christian background. You don't know, right? But I know because I'm reading this, all right? So anyways, let me get this up. Let me share so you can see for yourself. So here we have what is called the New Revised Standard Version. Okay, I didn't have this one. I had the what you call the same. I think it's called the Saint Vincent de Paul version or something like that, and the King James version. But here we have the New Revised Standard Version. This is what I just read you. Okay. So they go to Jesus' tomb. The story is they go to Jesus' tomb and they see a big rock covering the tomb. Okay. Then all of a sudden a lightning comes and they say an angel of the Lord came and rolls the rock away from the tomb. Okay. And he says, don't be afraid, right? Do not be alarmed. You're looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified and has been raised, and he is not here. Look there is the place they laid him. Okay. But go tell the disciples that he is going ahead of you to Galilee. Who's going ahead of you? Jesus. Okay. There you will see him just as he told you. Okay. So they went out and they fled from the tomb from terror and amazement had seized them. They're afraid of what they just saw. And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. End of story. End of story. Okay. Finish. And over here they put in the New Revised Standard Version, they put it here for you can see, right? The shorter ending of Mark. Okay. Meaning that there was an ending that was different here, right? And that's what they put, right? They put that to let the reader know that there are other endings to Mark. You get it? Right? And if you look in this one right here, 1 second, I'll show you. Just to show you that I'm not making this stuff up. Let me get it. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. This is the New International Version, okay? The New International Version. And what does it say? It says that right here, trembling, right what we just read. And it says right here in square brackets, the earliest manuscripts and some other ancient witnesses do not have verses 9 to 20, which is all this. You can read it on your own time because we don't have time. But what happened was, you see how you reacted when we said, and trembling and deleted, and they said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. And what happened after that? That was it. You see how you felt? Well, whoever is reading that felt the same way. So what did they do? They added to the Gospel of Mark. They added verses 9 to 20. Is it 9 to 20? Yes, 9 to 20. Yes, here we go. So, anyways, when I read that, because I seen it with my own eyes, I seen that one gospel, and we're reading the same Gospel of Mark. One gospel has this up to here with nothing after it, and the other gospel has some complete different story. And I said, oh, what is going on here? After I read that, right? And I was like, because I'm just trying to find out about the crucifixion of Jesus. That's all I want to find out. But that's not all. That's not the only funny thing that I found. Okay? I'm telling you. I hope some Christians watch this, right? But I'm telling you. Okay? Because I had the benefit of having two different Bibles, which just happened to be two completely different versions, I was getting 4 Gospels, right? I'm looking at all the Gospels side by side. And if you look at the story of Jesus' crucifixion, I'm telling you, wallahi, you're going to read 4 completely different stories. No 2 stories are the same. I will repeat, no 2 stories of the account of Jesus' crucifixion is the same. Y'all hearing me? You have 4 different gospels, 4 different accounts, 4 different men named Jesus. I challenge anybody to do that. You see what we did with the Gospel of Mark? Only the Gospel of Mark. You feel me? And if you go to another version, even let me show you another version so you can see it. I'm not making this stuff up. One second. Let me get it up here. Man, I hope CL Edwards comes in today because he can break this down like way better than because he studied this stuff, right? He legit studied this stuff. Let me get this up for y'all. This right here is the Revised Standard Version. Do you see any notes? You can see it's marked, it's same story. Do you see any notes about the verses of 9 to 20? No. They have it at the end in the footnotes. So when you're reading, if you don't read the footnotes, you're going to think, it's the Gospel of Mark. It's all included. He puts it as a footnote here. You can't make this stuff up. Some of the most ancient authorities bring the book closest at the end of verse 8. One authority includes a book adding after 8 by the following. But see this verse right here, after 8. They added this. They're telling you that they added stuff. They're telling you the authors added stuff to the Bible. But I digress. We're talking about the crucifixion that happened, right? If you go and take a deep dive into the crucifixion according to the Bible, this is what you're going to see. You will see this. It doesn't make a difference if you're Christian, Muslim, Jew. It doesn't make. You're going to see this stuff. You have to. That's what happened to me. This before Ahmed did that. Okay, right? So that's how I know this stuff. Y'all hearing me? Jazakallah khair, brother Bilal. I pray that our people are rightly guided to the truth and not just emotion. Our victory is with Allah, the one who sent Jesus, Isa, son of Mary. Ameen. 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 No one likes a cliffhanger, especially when it relates to their salvation. I know, eh? The biggest cliffhanger. So the authors, or not the authors, the authors of the Bible, you can say, they're reading that and they're like, whoa, what? So what do they do? They're like us. Well, we can't let this gospel end here. They just add stuff. You get me? That's what happened. Allah will reward you and multiply it for you 1,000-fold. Ameen, brother Bilal, and forgive you for your sins. Ameen. So anyways, let's go back now. Right? We're not going to inspect side by side just to look at the contradictions because we really want to touch up on the crucifixion part because it's Easter, right? But I'm telling you, just get the Gospels, right? Look only at the story of the crucifixion, right? All the events leading up to crucifixion, and you tell me which ones match up. You hear me? You're going to get 4 complete different stories. That's how I discovered about the dhann, the suspicion, right? The conjecture, right? So all this I discovered accidentally, okay? But the thing that stood out for me, all this kind of stuff stands up for, but in terms of the crucifixion, one thing that really stood out for me is something that Ahmed Dida, he actually touched up upon quite a bit. Now, Christians themselves, they use this, what I'm about to quote, very often, right? So we're just going to give it a bit of scrutiny, okay? The scribes and the Pharisees, these are the upper echelon, if you could say, of the Jews, right? Back in those days. These are the, you could say that house Negroes, I guess, of Jewish society back in the times of Jesus, right? They're educated, they're well-versed in the Torah, right? And they're the writers of books and whatnot, and the ones who know how to read and whatnot. So, and in those days, Jesus, he was loved by the masses. Okay, poor people, they absolutely adored Jesus. Okay, he was healing the deaf, dumb, and blind with God's permissions. He was feeding the multitudes, 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Okay? So he's always performing miracles in the name of God, but that wasn't enough for the Jewish elite because they're feeling the power that they have over the people slip away, and now people are paying attention to Jesus. Sound familiar? Okay, any of that sound familiar? Huh? In our times, you know, Rahimullah, Malcolm X. Okay, so anyways, so in the book of Mark, I believe it is Mark. No, Matthew. This is Matthew now. This is the book of Matthew. Some of the scribes and the Pharisees, they said to him, they go, "Teacher, we wish to see a sign from thee." Meaning they're asking for a miracle. Okay? They're asking Jesus for a miracle. Not because they need convincing, but they want to see parlor tricks. You know what I mean? This is Jesus, the messenger of God, and they want Jesus to use the power that you know, God has, you know, bestowed on his prophets to basically entertain them. You know what I mean? So this is why they're asking Jesus for a sign. These are scribes and Pharisees. They don't need convincing that God is real. Okay? They don't need convincing of that. So, but he answered them, "An evil and adulterous generation seeks for a sign. But no sign shall be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the whale, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Okay? So Jesus now, he's saying that's the only sign that you're going to get, right? He says you're going to get one sign. He didn't talk about feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. He didn't talk about raising the dead through the will of God. He didn't talk about healing the lepers. He didn't talk about healing the blind, giving the blind sight. He didn't talk about any of that stuff, right? All these miracles that he has shown, he said that you only get one sign. What was the sign? Because just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the whale, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the earth. So what is the sign of Jonah? That's the $1 million question. Okay, so everybody knows about Jonah, right? We all heard the story of Jonah. Jonah now, we also heard the story about Jonah and the whale, how he got swallowed by the whale, right? And then there's a book of Jonah in the Bible as well as like 2 pages. It's very, very small, right? If you look in the Bible, right? But even though this is a small, tiny, it's called a book, even though it's 2 pages, right? Small, tiny book. You know, the whole world knows about Jonah. You know, Jonah became famous because of the story. So, what was the miracle of Jonah? Okay, so essentially, Jonah was sent to a place called Nineveh. Okay, he was sent to a place called Nineveh, and he was ordered to call these people to Allah. You know, and these people were giving him a hard time. You hear me? So he's looking at these people. These people are so stubborn, and they're not listening to him, and they're, you know, insulting him and berating him. And he's like, you know what? I had enough of these people. I can't stand these people. I'm gonna leave. I gotta go. I gotta get away from these people. You know. So he's running away from the mission that Allah sent him to. He's the prophet of Allah, right? But he's so tired of his people. Doesn't have any followers. Nobody's listening to him, right? He says, I gotta leave these evil people. So he hops on a boat, right? That's heading to a place called Joppa. And while they're at sea, a storm starts to come. You understand? So according to the superstitions of these people, right, of the the people at sea or whatnot, right, if such a storm just comes suddenly, it's because a slave has been fleeing from his master's command. You understand? So that's what they believe. They believe a slave has been fleeing from their master's command, and in order to calm, the storm, right? Then they have to throw somebody off in order to off the boat. That is, in order to calm the storm. So they have this system there. It's called like casting of lots. So casting of lots is like a coin toss, or a coin toss, or drawing straws, or something like that. So they have casting of lots. And when it came to a turn of Jonah, he lost, right? So these mariners, or these people, they're sailors or whatever, they're looking at Jonah like, we can't throw Jonah off the boat. Jonah, this man, he's so pious. He's always praying. He's always talking about Allah and God, and he's always reminding us, and he's a good man. How can we throw him off? Right? And Jonah, he knows, because he knows the superstitions of the people. And he's like, you know what? I'm the one who's running away from my master's command. I'm supposed to be calling these people to Allah, right? And I ran away. I ran away from that mission. So they kept casting lots over and over, and they kept coming to the turn of Jonah. And they said, and he said, you have to throw me over in order to save. It's not good for all of us to die for my sake. Just throw me over, right? So they threw Jonah over the boat, okay? And then the whale comes and swallows up Jonah, okay? So the question is, Jesus said he's going to be in the belly of the earth, like Jonah was in the belly of the whale. The question is, and put it in the chat, please, was Jonah dead or alive in the belly of the whale? Put it in the chat, please. Was he dead or alive? Please put it in the chat. It's a very easy question, okay? Not only was he swallowed up by the whale, okay? Thank you, Red Abdi. He was alive, okay? He was swallowed up by the he was chilling. Thank you. He was alive. He was chilling, right? So he's in the belly of the whale, and he's praying to God to forgive him. Do dead people pray? So he was alive, right? He's praying. Who did he pray? He prayed to God. He prayed to his Lord to forgive him, right? He was crying and praying. And not only that, on the third day, the whale vomits him up on the shore of Nineveh. Again, he's back to where he started, right? When the whale vomits him up on the shore of Nineveh, was he alive? Yes or no? Was he alive? Yes or no? Put it in the chat, please. Was he alive? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. So Jesus said, so shall the Son of Man be like the son of Jonah. You understand? Yes, he was alive. Okay? Yes, he was alive. So he gets thrown over the sea. He gets swallowed up by the whale. He's praying in the belly of the whale, in the darkness in the belly of the whale. He's crying out to his Lord in the belly of the whale. Imagine, in the heat and with all the whatever the enzymes and whatever the whale is secreting, he should be dead. If he dies, there's no miracle, because when you throw a man off a boat and he gets swallowed up by a whale, you expect the man to die, correct? You expect a man to die, correct? But he's alive, alive, alive. Jesus said, I will be in the belly of the earth 3 days and 3 nights, as Jonah was. So Jesus now in the belly of the earth, was he alive or dead? In the belly of the earth, was he alive or dead? Put it in the chat, please. Jesus, in the belly of the earth, was he alive or dead? Put it in the chat. Yes, according to Christians, he was dead. Okay? According to Christians, he was dead. So my question is being alive like being dead? Is it the same thing? Is it the same thing? You're telling me Jonah was alive, 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 alive. Christians, they say he was dead in the earth. But I'm telling you, and this is true, okay? This is true, okay? I asked because I want clarification on this. I went to my priest in one of the Catholic schools I went to after Turner, right? I asked him about this. And because the Catholic schools, they have their local priest or whatnot, right? So I asked him, I go, so what about this? How was Jesus like Jonah if Jesus, according to you, was dead and Jonah was alive for 3 days and 3 nights in the middle of the earth? And he told me this. No, it's not that. It's the time factor. And Ahmed Deedat says this all the time. And I heard this even without Ahmed Deedat video. Okay? He goes, it's the time. He said it in those exact words. It's the time factor. Right? So I want you to imagine what's much more miraculous about a time factor. What is it? If I told you that it took me 3 days and 3 nights to drive from Ottawa to Florida, are you going to say, oh, that's a miracle? That's a miracle, right? It took you 3 days and 3 nights to get to Florida. So they're telling you, no, the time factor is miraculous, okay? Today is Saturday, okay? It's Saturday evening. We're going to say Saturday late afternoon, right? But let's say, for example, today was Friday late afternoon, okay? Let's pretend now today is Friday late afternoon. And I tell you, it's Friday late afternoon, and I tell you guys, okay, guys, we're just hypothetically, we're going to say today is Friday afternoon, okay? Okay, guys, in 3 days, I'm going to do my next live. In exactly 3 days, I'm going to do my next live. What day am I doing my next live? Put it in the chat. It's Friday afternoon now, and I tell you, in 3 days, we're going to do our next live. What day am I doing? What day am I doing my next live? Put it in the chat, please. Count it up. Somebody count it up. Put it in the chat. Okay? So if I tell you, thank you, Tika. Very well. Okay? Monday, Obviously, right? Okay, you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So you expect me to be back on Monday. You understand? The Jews now, they were in a hurry to get Jesus crucified. Why? Because it was a Sabbath. So they're trying to rush this crucifixion, right? It's Friday, right? It's what you call it? It's sorry. The Sabbath is coming, so they're rushing to get him up on the cross. You get me? Why are they rushing to get him up on the cross? Because according to Jewish scripture, anybody who's hanged who's hanged, their body is hanged, whether by crucifixion or hanging or whatever, then that person is cursed. And if they can prove that Jesus is cursed, then he can't be the messenger of God. So they're rushing to get him crucified. But it's Friday, it's Thursday night. They're trying to get this thing done because Friday is coming. You understand? So they're rushing. Friday comes. Friday, he gets crucified. Okay? So as quickly as they're rushing to get him up on the cross, is as quickly as they want him to come off the cross. Why? Because according to Jewish scripture, that if you have a body hanging on the Sabbath, then your land will be defiled and cursed. You get it? So they're rushing to get him on and they're rushing to get him off. So you ask the Christians, when did they take Jesus off the cross? Was it because we know he was crucified in the afternoon? This is what we know, according to Christians, right? Was it Friday afternoon or Friday evening? We don't care. Whatever you say, we'll accept, right? So Jesus says 3 days and 3 nights, okay, in the belly of the earth, okay? So let's say, for example, Friday afternoon, they take him down. Okay. They have to put, they have to wrap him in the shrouds and frankincense and whatnot, and like 100 pounds of frankincense and everything like that, according to the Bible. And they put him in the tomb. Okay. So by the time nighttime comes, he's in the tomb. So let's count now, okay? So Friday night, he's in the tomb, okay? Saturday day, he's in the tomb, okay? Sunday night, he's in the tomb, okay? Sunday day, Mary, according to, I believe it's the Gospel of Matthew, I can't remember. I'll double check that for you. She's going to the tomb of Jesus, right? And she sees that the tomb is empty. She finds the tomb is empty. So she starts crying. She starts sobbing, right? Now, she's going to the tomb to do what? To anoint or to massage Jesus. According to the Bible, that's what the Bible's saying, okay? She is going to the tomb to anoint or to massage Jesus. So we ask, do Jews, okay, anoint their dead bodies after they're dead? After 3 days? The answer is no. The Christians do it? No. Muslims, absolutely not. Right? But we're going to come back to that, right? We're going to come back to that. Why is she going to anoint this body, right? We're going to come back to that. So anyways, now she sees Jesus, but Jesus was disguised as a gardener. So the question is, do resurrected bodies disguise themselves as gardeners? The question is no, right? They don't. The answer is no, they don't do that. Right? So why was he disguised as a gardener? Because he was hiding. You get it? Anyways, She sees Jesus and she supposed him to be the gardener. Then she tells this Jesus, who she thought was the gardener, she says, "Sir, if you have seen the person who was in this tomb, can you please let me know where they have taken him?" So Jesus, he can't hold himself back anymore, and the gig is up. He's like, "Mary, and then she recognized that this was Jesus. And she said, and he tells her, "Do not touch me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father." Right? Do resurrected bodies tell other people not to touch them because they haven't resurrected the Father? Do resurrected bodies do that? But anyways, the point is that happened Sunday day. Okay, so 2 nights, 1 day. The question is this the same as this? Do they look the same to you? 3 days, 3 nights, 2 nights, 1 day. Are they the same? No mathematician on earth can help you. No mathematician on earth can help you with that. So the one miracle, the one sign that Christians always harp on, it wasn't even fulfilled. It wasn't even fulfilled. The reason why Mary was going to anoint Jesus because he's alive, obviously. He's trying to anoint him to help him heal up or whatever it is. Jesus is telling Mary not to touch him because he's alive. It's going to hurt, okay? It's going to feel pain, right? When Jesus is telling his disciples, inspect me, accept my hands, inspect my feet. Do you need to inspect resurrected bodies? Did Jesus say I'm resurrected? He never said that. He's saying I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, right? Simon doesn't believe it. He's like, I can't believe that he's alive. So Jesus goes to him and shows him, look, inspect. Look at my hands, look at my feet, you're going to see. Then Simon says, my Lord and my God. Christians are saying that he's calling Jesus my Lord and my God. You see the psychology here. If you, for example, saw a relative that you thought was dead, okay, and then they show up at your house, what's your expression going to be? What's the first thing you're going to say out of your mouth? You think your dead relative, somebody that you love, you think that person is dead? They show up to you a couple of days later, they're alive. What are you going to say? You're going to say, my God, my Lord. Simon says that. True Christians they're saying he's calling him God and Lord. Anyways, that's a different story. Okay? So the point is, Jesus is showing that he's alive. He didn't fulfill the prophecy of Jonah. According to Christians, not according to us, according to Christians, right? No two gospels have the same account. And on top of that, do crucified bodies die in an afternoon? Do y'all know? This one right here is probably one of the biggest proofs that at least he didn't die. And none of the disciples actually witnessed Jesus get crucified. As the Bible says, they all fled. So none of them witnessed the crucifixion. They weren't even there. Y'all hear me? But I'm going to show you something. Let me show y'all something. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. This right here is going to blow your all mind.
The Philippines, a country of 75 million people, the vast majority Catholic. Signs of faith are everywhere, especially during Easter week, which commemorates the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ. In the village of San Pedro Catude, Rolando Ocampo is a local carpenter who has made an oath to God. 12 years ago, his wife was giving birth to their youngest daughter, Cindy, but there were complications, and both hovered near death. Rolando began to pray.
Ayun, sabi ko sa kanya, maligtas lang ang magina ko. Ako'y gagawin ko yung
I told the Lord that if my wife would have a safe delivery, I would have myself crucified on Good Friday.
dating ng Biyernes Santo.
Rolando's wife and daughter both recovered, and now, every year, he pays for this blessing with his own flesh and blood.
Every year, he does what? Anyways, let's continue. This only gets worse. Watch it now. Watch.
Through self-flagellation and crucifixion.
Ganitong ginawa ko, dahil ito ay tinatawag nilang baigwar na yung ginagamit sa bakod, ang bakod.
I use what you call barbed wire for my crown of thorns. I use this material because it's durable and won't break easily.
Sisira. Itong pa ako nito,
These are the kinds of nails I use.
ganitong ginagamit ito.
These are the nails that are driven into my hands.
Yung pako sa kamay, yun ang ginagamit nilang pag-ano sa amin.
It is Good Friday in the Philippines, the day that Jesus was crucified. The village of San Pedro Catude prepares for an estimated 10,000 visitors who will come to watch 15 crucifixions.
How many crucifixions they're coming to watch? So what they are telling you is that crucifixion, the way that they allege Jesus did it, is not even a serious thing anyways. This man is getting crucified every single year. Every single year. Is he dead? Is he dead? He's doing exactly the ritual according to Christians, what they did. And it's not just him. 15 other people are doing it too. So what do you call a man who gets crucified and he lives? The crucifixions that were done in those Roman times, they're in whether in Rome or anywhere else, they would hang people on crosses for days and days and days at a time. And then the crows would come and peck at them and whatnot. And then eventually they would die of starvation or whatever the conditions were. You understand? Jesus, maximum was on the cross for maybe 6 hours, 7 hours. Maximum. According to the Christians. They're saying that he died from that. And every year, people are crucifying themselves just like that every single year. And they come down off the cross, and that night they're going to smoke a cigarette and party, whatever they do. You know what I'm saying? Right after being crucified. Jazakallah khair, brother Kev D. Hayakum Allah. May Allah reward you and bless you, multiply it for you 1,000-fold. Ameen.
Rolando's chosen to be crucified last in hopes of avoiding the crowds. With his nails, hammer, crown of thorns, and faith, the carpenter heads for the hill.
Hubad ko ng damit.
From the time I undress and I lie on the cross, it's like Christ takes over my body.
Parang siya na ang nakapasok sa akin.
Each nail must be precisely placed, A miscalculation could cause permanent paralysis in the hands. The nails go through his hands and into the wood. After several minutes of agony, Rolando is lowered. Exhausted, his hands throbbing, he and his daughter return home. It has cost him dearly, but Rolando has kept his promise.
You see what these people are doing? I'm sorry to say it like that. But you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? This is some madness. He said it was at the same time. This is madness. I just got home from Terawee Open and missed the live, and this is insanity. What is the exactly? But anyways, if all these people aren't dying from crucifixion, and people are getting crucified every single year, every year, you know, all the time. In the Philippines, they do it, mass crucifixions. I believe in some other places, like in some places in Europe as well, and South America, you know, then how are these people living in your Lord and Savior died on the cross? And furthermore, how do you have 4 different accounts, completely different accounts, and I mean completely different accounts of the events of the crucifixion? How is it that none of the witnesses were actually witnesses to the crucifixion? You understand? It's not making any sense. And I discovered all of this before Ahmed did that. But I was just too young to, you know, to actually express what I was seeing here. This is some big contradictions happening here. Some big contradictions. Jazakallah khair, hayakallah, brother Abdullah Isa. May Allah reward you and bless you and multiply it for you 1,000-fold. Ameen. Shiism, all jewelry. Yes. Indeed. Indeed. So, anyways, what we have is we have that Jesus, according to the Christians, he didn't fulfill the conditions of his own prophecy. So many miracles he performed, so many, right? And even if he did, he was not, according to you, he was nothing like Jonah. Jonah was alive in the belly of the whale. According to the Christians, Jonah was dead. I mean, Jesus was dead in the belly of the earth. None of the disciples witnessed the matter, not a single one. Okay, Mary is going to anoint allegedly a dead Jesus, and Jews don't have this practice of anointing dead bodies, right? She's not going to anoint a dead body. She's clearly going to anoint somebody that she believes is alive. You understand? Jesus, he appears to the disciples to prove what? To prove that he's resurrected? To prove that he's resurrected, or to prove that he's alive? Then Jesus, he asks his disciples, can I have a piece of broiled fish and honeycomb? Here's a question. Resurrected people, do they eat broiled fish and honeycomb? Resurrected people, do they eat broiled fish and honeycomb? Is that the food of resurrected people? Why is he doing all this? He's proving that he's alive, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. Everything he's doing, he's showing the people that he's alive. You are saying that why didn't he just say I'm resurrected then? He didn't say that. He's saying, I'm alive. You're saying he's resurrected. Even the disciples themselves, they were shocked. Why were they shocked? If they knew that he was going to be resurrected, why were they so surprised? They're surprised because he was alive. Like the miracle of Jonah. If Jonah, you expect Jonah to be dead if he's in the belly of the whale. They expected Jesus to be dead, right? They expected Jesus to be dead in the belly of the earth, but he wasn't dead. He was alive. You get it? Hello, that's how he's like Jonah. Anyways, anybody want to hop on with me here? I just put the link. If not, then we'll call it a night. But I hope that you guys can share this with your Christian family. I hope there's some Christians here. I did see one Christian here earlier. I hope they're here, and I hope they can hop on if they have any questions. But anyways, I wanted to do this because it's Easter, right? And then you guys have something to share with your families, inshallah, right? But I think this is good enough, right? I don't want to make it too long, but there's so many things I can mention, right, to prove that the crucifixion, even according to the Bible, with no cap or nothing, no stretching of the truth, you can show from the Bible that there was a lot of embellishment. You see, you got to understand, when people think of the Bible, they think in terms of this time. And you can't think of the Bible in terms of this time. You get it? Like the people who were writing the Bible, these anonymous authors and whatnot, these scribes and whatnot, back in those days, they didn't have pens and paper like we do, okay? Writing was something that only the elite class were able to do. Why? Because it was expensive, it required expensive materials, and acquired education. Not like today. Today we have cheap pens, cheap paper, you know what I mean? What were they writing on in those times? They were writing on scrolls, maybe leather scrolls or tan scrolls. If I was to ask you, any of you right now, to get me some ink, but not any ink. You can't buy it at the store. You have to make your ink from scratch. Do you think that will be an easy process? No. So the ink is expensive. The ink wells, they have to, because they don't have pens, they keep the inks in some ink wells. You know, that's expensive. They have to make the ink wells. Okay. The leather parchment or the scrolls or whatever, that's expensive. All these things cost money, right? So you have to be from the elite class to write it. And on top of that, if you make a mistake in your writing, they don't have whiteout in those days. They're not crossing it out. That mistake is staying there. You understand? And then when you want to got a copy, you can't just go to the store and, no, you have to copy it yourself by hand. So you're copying mistakes. That was what was happening. You get it? And if anybody had a problem with something, or if they wanted to add their ideas, all they have to do is write it in, and it becomes a part of that thing forever. Whoever copies after that was going to copy that person's idea. Like the Gospel of John. The first three Gospels, you would think that they would be deifying Jesus like John did, but they weren't. None of those three thought Jesus was a man God. Only John did, right? And so when you have the Gospel of John and you have the Gospel of Luke, and you're looking at the story of the events that led to the crucifixion, you are, especially these two, because Luke saw Jesus like a kind of like a militant almost, right? A very like, somebody who had bravado, right? Luke is seeing him like that. John is seeing Jesus as the passive God man. Total opposites of the spectrum. I challenge you tonight, just go read those two stories and tell me you're reading about the same person. That's what was happening. Matthew copied from Mark wholesale. Okay, Matthew, who's supposed to be the disciple of Jesus, he's supposed to be him, right? Is copying from Mark, a 10-year-old boy, wholesale. Okay, because Matthew didn't write Matthew. Some other person wrote put Matthew on the title. We don't know who it is, right? And so this is the Gospel of Matthew, copying it directly from Mark. 10-year-old. That's what's happening with the Bible. So anyways, it's not about contradicting the Bible. The point is that when you look at the crucifixion story critically, you cannot make any sense of it. It's impossible. It's impossible because the stories are totally different. Anyways, Jazakumullah khair. Thanks for everybody for participating. Hayakum Allah. May Allah reward the brother Abdullah Isa, the brother Kev D. May Allah reward the brother Bilal for your generosity, and may Allah multiply it for you 1,000-fold. May Allah reward everybody that participated with me. And Ikhwan wa Akhwat, share, like, subscribe, share, okay? And hit me up on Patreon. I hope this was a little bit different for you guys, and and then maybe it's something you can share with your families, inshallah, who are Christians still. Subhanaka wa bihamdik wa shada la ilaha illa ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah reward all of you. Assalamu alaikum.